what's going on, guys? It is Dibs, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Today, part 2 of my top 100 big board of the 2023 NFL Draft continues, looking at prospects 21 to 40, guys. If you love the draft, please consider subscribing. Let's go. All right, guys, we're not wasting any time here. Let's jump right in. Coming in number 21, I'm looking at Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State, cornerback. Next up, we've got Zay Flowers out of Boston College, wide receiver at number 22. Coming in number 3, we're looking at Cam Smith out of South Carolina. And then number 24, Trenton Simpson, linebacker. And to finish us off, let's talk about Anton Harrison, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma, coming in at number 25. Let's pump the brakes and go back to Emmanuel Forbes here at number 21. There are a lot of high-quality playmakers in the 2023 NFL Draft cornerback class, but none have been more productive at the catch point over the past 3 seasons than Mississippi State star Emmanuel Forbes. This is an elite playmaker. Over a 3-year stretch with the Bulldogs, Forbes has compiled 13 career interceptions and 16 career pass deflections, a whopping 29 total plays on the football. Emmanuel Forbes has given up 50-plus yards receiving just once. We're talking about one of the best cover corners in the nation over a considerable amount of data. I absolutely love Emmanuel Forbes. I've got a round 1 grade on this guy. Let's move on to number 22, and that is Zay Flowers, wide receiver. At 5'10", 172 pounds, size will definitely be a concern for Zay Flowers moving forward. However, this is an incredibly explosive, agile, and dynamic talent with rare balance both as a route runner and as an after-the-catch threat. Zay Flowers is an undersized but twitchy athlete that creates separation up and down the route tree. While he played on the outside at Boston College, he might be a slot-only player due to his size. His smallish frame also gives him challenges when navigating traffic. That also leads to a smaller catch radius than other wide receivers in this class, which could negatively impact his draft stock. However, nobody changes directions. Nobody is more dynamic with the football than Zay Flowers. I love this guy. Let's move on to number 23, and that is Cam Smith, cornerback. Cam Smith takes after former first-round pick J.C. Horn with his physical nature and aggressive mindset. While Cam Smith doesn't have the elite physical skill set that J.C. Horn possessed, Cam Smith gets it done with high football IQ and craftiness. He has good length at 6'1", 187 pounds, and he's a fairly explosive athlete with good foot speed, good fluidity, and enough top-end range to carry receivers upfield. Cam Smith is elite at initiating contact and not drawing a flag. This is also a guy who has improved steadily every single year at South Carolina. Right now, I've got a round 1 grade on Cam Smith. And then we get to Trenton Simpson, linebacker. Trenton Simpson is everything you're looking for in a modern coverage linebacker. He's a freak athlete at 6'3", 240 pounds with legit sub 4.5 speed. He can thrive in the box with sideline to sideline speed, and he checks off a lot of boxes in coverage. This is a major playmaker with the coverage fluidity of a safety, the speed and power of an edge rusher, and the strength and instincts of an orthodox linebacker. Clemson lined him up against slot receivers where he's only allowed 18 catches and 144 yards across 28 targets in coverage. He's also excellent as a blitzer, notching 31 pressures and 7 sacks in 2022. Weaknesses-wise, his cover awareness and route anticipation are still in that developmental phase, but he's got all the tools you're looking for in that area. I've got a round 1 grade on Trenton Simpson. And then we move on to number 25, Anton Harrison, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. Anton Harrison is a massive dude at 6'6", 309 pounds, but has the feet of a smaller player. He's got good bursts with plus hand usage, composed footwork, leverage maintenance, and gnawing physicality. Harrison has the uncoachable smoothness that you can't help but admire from a 300-plus pounder. He moves like an NBA power forward, and he's only surrendered 9 pressures on 447 pass blocking snaps this season. Harrison is a finesse player who wins with some of the best hand usage in the class. Negative-wise, He needs to improve as a run blocker at the next level, but I've got a round 1 grade on this guy. Let's take a look at my next 5 prospects. Coming in number 26 is Clark Phillips III, cornerback out of Utah. And then we get to O'Cyrus Torrence coming in at number 27, interior offensive lineman out of Florida. Next up, Quentin Johnston, wide receiver, big time wide receiver, coming out of TCU, followed by another wide receiver, Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC, and to finish it off, Drew Sanders, linebacker out of Arkansas. Let's throw it back to Clark Phillips III, cornerback. While he might be undersized, Clark Phillips III is an uber competitive cornerback prospect on the outside. His 59 solo tackles last season was the 12th most among all cornerbacks and 7th most among outside cornerbacks. His level of play has improved during his 3rd season at Utah. He was tied for 2nd in the nation with 5 interceptions and recorded 3 against Oregon State. In fact, his 4 career pick sixes are tied for the most in Utah history. In single coverage, he is graded better than any other Power 5 cornerback according to Pro Football Focus. While he may end up being a slot corner in the NFL, he has the skill and the mentality to thrive there. Right now, I've got a round 1 grade on Clark Phillips III. I don't understand why he's not rated higher in most mocks. Let's move on to number 27, and this is a guy I really like. It is O'Cyrus Torrence, interior offensive lineman. At 6'5" and 347 pounds, O'Cyrus Torrence is a massive man with some of the biggest hands in the 2023 draft class. He's got plus athleticism and play strength and hands that strike with authority at contact and quickly gains control. His wide frame, controlled aggressiveness, and plus run blocking makes him a perfect candidate for a power gap scheme at the next level. Weaknesses wise, he needs to improve his consistency, and he sometimes has trouble with lateral mobility and maintaining balance on the move. I've got a round 1 grade on O'Cyrus Torrence. Let's move on to number 28. That is Quentin Johnston, wide receiver out of TCU. Johnston is an uber athlete at 6'4" and 215 pounds who can punish defenses on all 3 levels. He's got big time breakaway speed with acceleration that cannot be coached. He also excels at generating extra yards in the catch and run and taking the top off of opposing defenses. But he's much more than a straight line vertical threat. Johnston is a polished route runner and can make you pay regardless of the pattern he's running. Weaknesses wise, he needs to improve as a blocker. He's also quite prone to getting jammed at the line of scrimmage with physical press coverage, but I've still got a round 1 grade on this guy. And then we get to Jordan Addison at number 29. At 6 foot, 175 pounds, Jordan Addison has high level twitch and sink that doesn't come around very often. He's got fantastic natural ability and vertical range at the catch point. Coming out of high school, Jordan Addison ran the 40-yard dash in 4.51 seconds, and expectations are he could run in that 4.3, 4.4 range at this week's combine. This is a prospect with excellent acceleration off the line of scrimmage and a very polished route runner. Negative-wise, he's a poor open field blocker with average height for the receiver position at the next level. But yes, he is undersized and his play strength is a concern, but his elite route running and twitch should garner him strong attention in rounds 1 and 2 of the 2023 NFL Draft. Coming in number 30 is linebacker Drew Sanders. Drew Sanders has plus size at 6'5", 232 pounds with very good speed. This is a prospect who checks off a lot of boxes when it comes to physical measurements. After transferring from Alabama to Arkansas and flourishing playing in space, he's racked up 28 pressures on 109 pass rushing snaps in 2022, including 4 forced fumbles. Improvement-wise, he needs to improve as a tackler. Sanders switched from an on-ball linebacker with the Crimson Tide to off-ball in Fayetteville. The Razorbacks used him all over the box as a stack linebacker and all along the defensive line as an occasional edge. Right now, I've got a round 1 grade on Drew Sanders. Let's talk about my next 5 prospects. All right, let's start off with number 31, one of my favorites in the entire draft. That is Cody Mauch, interior offensive lineman, offensive tackle out of North Dakota State. Next up at number 32, Dalton Kincaid out of Utah, big-time tight end playmaker, followed by BJ Ojulari, big-time edge rusher out of LSU, Number 34, Kelee Ringo, cornerback safety out of Georgia. Number 35, Josh Downs, big-time playmaker out of UNC. Let's throw it back to Cody Mauch at number 31. Cody Mauch, a former quarterback and tight end who started 24 consecutive games at left tackle for the Bison, made some big changes during Senior Bowl week. During practices, Mauch lined up at center for the first time and flashed big-time potential as a light-footed interior lineman with a ton of athleticism. Mauch measured in at 6'4", 305 pounds with shortish arms. There weren't any surprises in those numbers, as most have pegged Mauch as not being long enough to play tackle at the next level. While his work at center is very new, his tenacity and terrific athleticism made him a standout all week long during the Senior Bowl. I love this guy. I've got a rounds 1 through 2 grade on Cody Mauch. Coming in number 32, Dalton Kincaid, tight end. Kincaid blends receiver-esque route running ability at 6'4" and 240 pounds. He's still on the smaller end for the position, but with his willingness in the run game, he can get by at the next level. Across a 5-year career that spanned 2 seasons at San Diego and 3 with the Utes, Kincaid has amassed 151 catches for over 2,000 yards and 34 touchdowns. Kincaid has above average size with an impressive overall wingspan. What's even more impressive is how he uses that wingspan. Kincaid gets open easily, stresses defensive backs downfield, and elevates and extends for catches with awe-inspiring control and authority. I've got a rounds 1 through 2 grade on Dalton Kincaid. Coming in number 33, BJ Ojulari, edge rusher. No one in the SEC has a better pass rush win rate than BJ Ojulari, who has missed a few games in 2022 due to injury. He's a bit undersized, and that shows up in the run game, but he has elite speed and dip as a pass rusher with noticeable burst to close quickly on the quarterback. Ojulari is a true finesse pass rusher at 6'3", 244 pounds, with the swift explosiveness, lateral agility, and bend to be a nightmare for tackles who struggle to match. The sheer mobility and quickness at which Ojulari pressures angles is what sells his profile the most. This is an explosive athlete with great burst off the snap. Right now, I've got a rounds 1 through 2 grade on BJ Ojulari. Coming in number 34, Kelee Ringo, cornerback out of Georgia. Here's a guy with a ton of size and length, standing at 6'2", 205 pounds. Ringo is a big-time playmaker with a complete skill set. He's got superb athleticism, as evident by his 4.35 second 40-yard dash back in high school. When you watch this guy on tape, he routinely presses receivers to the sideline and refuses to get stacked against vertical routes. Ringo is at his best when he's targeted downfield. He's only allowed 8 of his 31 targets to be caught for 211 yards on throws 10-plus yards downfield in 2022. He can also play both man and zone coverage. There are some questions, however, whether or not he might be best fit at safety moving forward, but I've got a rounds 1 through 2 grade on Kelee Ringo. And then number 35, Josh Downs, wide receiver out of UNC. Here's a top-end producer with one of the higher upsides, higher floor projections at the position. Josh Downs has elite explosiveness and body control in space. Downs brings to the table what every offense is looking for nowadays: big-time playmaking. While he's got smallish frame at 5'10" and barely 180 pounds, I think his electric athleticism is enough to overcome some of those concerns. This is an above-the-rim type of player with elite fluidity and quickness. Weaknesses-wise, he should look to improve his play strength, which shows up in his blocking. Another question comes in, will Josh Downs be limited to the slot at the next level? Regardless, I've got a rounds 1 through 2 grade on Josh Downs. Let's go into my next 5 prospects, leading off with polarizing quarterback prospect Anthony Richardson out of Florida at number 36. And then we get to Jalin Hyatt, wide receiver out of Tennessee. Next up, we've got Dewan Jones, offensive tackle prospect out of Ohio State, followed by Isaiah Foskey at number 39, edge rusher out of Notre Dame. And to finish this video off, we got Zach Charbonnet, running back out of UCLA. Let's talk about Anthony Richardson, the developmental quarterback out of Florida. You have to start with his athleticism. Just how good of an athlete is Anthony Richardson? Richardson broke 39 tackles on 97 carries in 2022 for 713 yards on the ground. We all know he is an elite athlete but inside the pocket is where Anthony Richardson needs to develop the most. While his footwork is sound and consistent, he's a long way away when it comes to developing into an accurate quarterback. Richardson's 28.2 uncatchable pass rate over the last 2 seasons is the 7th highest in the nation. He's super raw, also with only 455 dropbacks in his college career. For me personally, I've got a rounds 1 through 2 grade on Anthony Richardson, but I would not be shocked at all to see him go in the top 10 due to his elite upside. Coming in number 37, it is Jalin Hyatt, big-time playmaker wide receiver out of Tennessee. Elite speed always wins during the draft process. Jalin Hyatt has game-breaking speed, a primary trait that helped him amass 67 catches for over 1,200 yards and 15 scores in 2022. Along with his great speed, Hyatt is also a natural hands catcher. When the ball gets thrown his way, he catches it with soft hands and he doesn't use his body. Hyatt also does a good job working back to the ball on hitch routes. Blocking is also a plus ability for Jalin Hyatt. Weaknesses wise, he needs to prove he can deal with press coverage at the next level, and the question remains, will he be a really good wide receiver at the next level or just a gadget guy? Moving forward, at number 38, Dawand Jones, one of my favorite prospects in this draft, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Dawand Jones is massive at 6'8", 359 pounds with 36-inch arms. While he might struggle against quicker edge rushers, that size and length alone is more than often enough at the college level. This is a guy who has been strong in the passing game and has shown improvements with his consistency in regards to his technique in 2022. As a starter the last 2 seasons, he only allowed 15 pressures. Dawand Jones has decent quickness, but he can also get out-leveraged at times. His feet can also be slow, and that mostly shows up in the run game. It's important to note that Dawand Jones had a phenomenal Senior Bowl. I love this guy, and I've got a rounds 1 through 2 grade on Dawand Jones. Next up, number 39, Isaiah Foskey, edge rusher out of Notre Dame. Foskey is bendy with long arms and a ton of potential. He plays with a lot of explosion. He's a good run defender. He was a former tight end in high school, and his natural athleticism pops off the tape. Foskey's 2022 campaign has been a little bit hot and cold. He started out a bit slow out of the gate, had a lull midway through the season, and hasn't quite shown the consistency I would like to see out of this guy. He's got very good snap anticipation and timing to consistently dominate offensive linemen off the edge. Foskey needs to improve his bend off the edge, and he needs to continue refining himself as a pass rusher. Regardless, I've got a 1 through 2 grade on Isaiah Foskey. And to finish this show, we're talking about Zach Charbonnet at number 40, running back out of UCLA. At 6'1" and 220 pounds, this is a guy who easily checks the size box. He's less make you miss and more run through you, which lends to his north-south style. Charbonnet is a power rusher who can break tackles and drive piles, but lacks the athleticism to be a dynamic playmaker. Add in his ability as a pass catcher and protector, and this is a guy with really intriguing upside. Concern-wise, he's not an elite athlete, and NFL defenders probably won't have any problem chasing him down in the open field. Charbonnet projects as a power back who can handle carries at the goal line and in short yardage situations. His lack of transcendent athletic traits prevent him from becoming a primary back, and he will have to find a role on third down by being a blocker. However, his combination of power and speed is elite. I've got a rounds 1 through 2 grade on Zach Charbonnet. So that's part 2 of my top 100 prospects in the 2023 NFL Draft. We just covered prospects 21 through 40. Please be on the lookout for my next video breaking down prospects 41 to 60. Guys, do you agree or disagree with my list? Let me know down in that comment section below. Who are your favorite prospects? Thank you everyone for watching. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot, and stay awesome, everyone.